The Koffler Gallery is proud to present the world premiere of a heart-wrenching and fascinating exhibition, The Synagogue at Babin Yar, Turning the Nightmares of Evil into a Shared Dream of Good. Opening on the eve of Yom HaShoah, April 17th, and running until November, the multidisciplinary exhibition tells the bittersweet story of the Babin Yar Synagogue, which stands on the grounds of the first large-scale massacre of the Holocaust in 1941. Experience the full historical, political, artistic, and spiritual context of this incredible monument for the first time. The exhibition is free of charge. To learn more, visit kofflerarts.org.
Hey everybody, we're the Menschwarmers. I'm Jamie. I'm here with my co-host Gabe. Gabe, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. You know, it's a big week for Jews in sports. We got another one.
We got another one.
That's right. We got another one. We got a convert.
A convert? We're not usually getting converts here. Who we got?
No, we don't make it easy. We don't make it easy as a people.
No, we don't. And I think that's, not something I'm upset about. No disrespect, but I don't think it should be the easiest thing to join a religion.
I'll put it this way. Think about what Groucho Marx said, that he wouldn't want to join a club that would have him as a member. I don't want to join any club that would have you as a member. You being John Q. Public.
So Gabe, tell our listeners who we got.
Fresh off of I guess being a stomping victim, or immediately before being a stomping victim, in the second game of the NBA playoffs. Sacramento Kings, I would say budding superstar, Domantas Sabonis, has announced that he is converting to Judaism.
Yeah, very exciting. I was really shocked and excited to learn about this. I mean, he is married to a Jewish woman, Shashana Sabonis.
Yeah, what's his wife's name? Tell us his
Shashana Rosen. Very Jewish name.
Shashana Rosen. Did how many Shashana Rosens did you go to camp with?
None specifically, but both of those names in different variations, one way or the other. But there was an article in
Shushi. I'm doing this. Shushi Sabonis is quite a tongue twister.
You got it out there. So there's an article in JTA this week about how Domantas is in the process of converting. He is, the family's keeping kosher or doing their best with that, raising their kids. They have one kid now, and Shoshana is pregnant with the second. And Domantas is really taking to it and is going to be continuing with his conversion. I mean, I think this is instantly, without a doubt, the best Jewish basketball player, certainly since Amare.
Yes.
In terms of being an active Jewish basketball player, probably the best since Dolph Shays. I don't know.
I would say Danny Shays. We can go Danny Shays.
I mean, this is a guy who's going to make an All NBA team this year. The Kings, I think, are like the sexy pick to have a real run in the Western Conference. As we're talking about this, they're up 2-0 on the Golden State Warriors.
Since probably the Jew to go deepest into the playoffs since Omri Caspi's Warriors tenure.
Yeah, but he was never on. He might have been on he might have been like 15th man, but he never suited up, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think
or Farmar and the Lakers, I guess.
Yes, the most involved Jew in a very long time.
Yeah, we'll see. It's interesting because this article came out, and then very shortly afterwards, he was involved in like the biggest story in the NBA, which was that in Game 2 of their series against the Warriors, he got stomped on by Draymond Green. Like pretty much, like Draymond is now suspended for a game. Now, doesn't feel like the Warriors are going to come back in this one now. And
I don't want to put too fine a point on it, nor do I want to accuse Draymond of anything untoward. He seems like a fine.
Well, nothing untoward beyond what's already been accused of being untoward. That is, he stomped on a guy. Like
he stomped on a guy.
Anyone can accuse him of that. We all watch the videos and like multiple angles now.
I do not believe he was targeting Sabonis because Sabonis is converted to Judaism.
I don't think it was a hate crime. I agree.
But. There's a but.
Yep.
Very recently, this very podcast was nominated for a sports podcasting award about Jews in sports, about
That's true.
diversity in the media, about players like Domantas Sabonis.
That's true.
And our competition, the award ended up going to the LPGA Tour, so congratulations to them. But our competition in that was Draymond Green.
That's true.
So
he was nominated in the same category as us, our classic opponent, Draymond Green.
Maybe he is sort of trying to put himself. I don't think he did it on purpose against us as a people. Maybe he is, or maybe we could take the other side of the coin and think that Draymond was actually, he did us, you and me, Jamie and Gabe, the Menschwarmers themselves, a favor by choosing Sabonis to stomp on to give us all of this material we're having to chat this evening.
It is good for the content. I got to say that. Well, I guess we'll see. If Draymond finds out that Steph Curry has a Hebrew tattoo, and Steph might need to watch out. I mean, he has a history of hitting, punching his own teammates. So this might be the end of Draymond in San Francisco, one way or the other. I guess we'll see how this offseason goes.
This was, I guess, a few weeks ago now, but you reminded me of a meme that we reposted. I'm sure many people have posted and seen, were listeners to us. The video was of Idris Elba coughing after eating a very, very spicy wing. And the caption is, when Kyrie Irving finds out that Mark Cuban is Jewish and not Cuban.
That's right. But this is exciting. I mean, I think it's very nice and I guess rare for athletes to convert to Judaism. I don't make a habit of going into the weeds to find out who's married to a Jewish person. There were a few surprises during the World Baseball Classic of Alex Dickerson.
I don't know if his wife is named Shoshana Rosen though. I think if we were to find some professional athlete was married to a Shoshana Rosen.
Yeah. But it is always interesting. I mean, connection comes from all different kinds of places, and this is how it's coming for him. I will say that there's probably been thousands of young Jewish kids who have worn the Grateful Dead tie-dye Lithuanian basketball jersey from the early 90s. That's a very iconic look,
It is, Jonah Hill recently photographed in it. Maybe the world's most famous, American Jewish kid right now, grown kid. But I think of, Lithuania as a country of not currently having very many Jews, but historically having a lot.
Sure.
So we've got one Lithuanian Jew back. And I also would like to say, you look at that Lithuanian basketball team, and every one of those are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, I would say fantasy warriors of the Aryan nation. But whether or not that is true, we now have one on our side. Once again, another Lithuanian Jew, Domantas Sabonis. I also think it's worth mentioning he has a very very early grandfatherly nickname, as Saba is already in his name.
Oh, that's good.
So you wonder how many, if he could start going by Saba to all of the Jewish basketball fans, call him Saba, give him a big hug. He says Yofi and gives you a $1 and then sends you on your way. I think that might be Domantas Sabonis's next few years on the NBA circuit.
Well, the real Saba will be his dad, Arvydas, Hall of Famer. Arvydas had a great look and haircut. Definitely looked like a guy who just got off working a double on a construction site, hauling some steel up somewhere. Definitely did not look like an NBA player. Even back in the 80s, 90s when he was playing basketball at a high level, was not swagged out like most NBA players.
No, I mean, he had
just had a very solid build and a haircut you could set your watch to.
Yeah, like a thick man with a crew cut and a mustache, and especially some of the years that mustache was a little bushier. He was a real what's the word I'm looking for? He looked like a local union president more than he looked like a Lithuanian, an Eastern European NBA player. But now, he's got a Jewish son. I also think, something that look that Arvydas Sabonis had is the sort of look that he will have until he is 95 years old and the day he dies. He will always see the same barber, always trim his mustache the same way. That is his look forever. Certainly one of those looking guys. And now, he'll be going to Seder's.
I guess
Arvidas
so.
and Domantas, and
Maybe.
they'll be having, they'll be fasting together on Yom Kippur, having break the fasts with Shashana and the children. So
I look forward
to
I look forward to hearing more and more about this and seeing if he goes through with a full formal conversion. And I think it gives Jews something to root for this NBA playoff season. Otherwise, there wasn't much. I mean, you could root for Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns, like if you want to root for owners. And as we've said
I was about to say,
rooting for owners
takes the conversation out of the executive boardroom and back onto the court for the purposes of this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You could root for Kobe Altman, the general manager of the Cavs is Jewish. Like, okay, great. Like, that's nice. I guess the owner of the Cavs is Jewish too, I think, right? Dan Gilbert. And,
yes.
But now it's like, no, there's a player. And he's in Sacramento, maybe one of the least Jewish cities in California. And the Sacramento Melechs are, poised to make a run here. If they can beat the Dubs,
absolutely,
they've got a clear shot to make it to the finals. I know they're a young team, but they really do have a possible chance here.
They absolutely do. And I think right now there are no Jewish coaches currently in the NBA.
No head coaches, I think. Yeah.
No head coaches as my understanding. Taylor Jenkins does look a lot like my co-host, Jamie here. He does. He really has that look. If you want to know what Jamie looks like,
that's true.
This is an auditory medium.
Right.
You could look at a picture of Memphis Grizzlies coach Taylor Jenkins, but he is not Jewish. Though
I think I look more like Bojan Bogdanovic.
It's a real mix.
Somewhere between Taylor Jenkins and Bojan.
And Bojan, yes,
yeah.
Somewhere between. I would agree. That said, it's rare to see a Jewish person come this far on the court in the NBA playoffs. So go Melechs, light that beam. That I think we'll very soon being able to say that beam was only supposed to light for one playoff series, but will have actually lasted for, several more. One game, if they win their 8th game, we can say that joke that they, it has lasted for 8 games, but that'll be in 2 weeks at our next episode.
If he ever gets called up to read at the Torah, and he has a hard time seeing things, then they'll need to make sure to light the bima so that he can, he can read from the Torah.
Oh, that's very, very good.
He's good. We got jokes. I think that he plays for a team called the Kings is pretty good. That's pretty much as biblical a team as there is in the NBA in terms of names.
I would agree. I also want, there's obviously, I would call his teammate potentially a Mike Jacobs All-Star, if only not for one other letter. But if you were to take away the D from De'Aaron Fox,
right.
I'm sure we all know an Aaron Fox somewhere. It's a very Jewish name. He could be a Mike Jacobs All-Star, and to go, but De'Aaron Fox, obviously not Jewish. Unfortunately not Jewish. That said, can you think of any other, do we have any other bits on Domantas Sabonis? Have we dried this vein of comedy already?
We're just here for the jokes. It's great that he's Jewish. I wish him well. I look forward to hearing more about it, and I'm sure we will, and continue to get updates on it. We should shout out as well the article. I saw it on JTA, but it was reposted from the Jewish News of Northern California, written by Andrew Eisenstein. So good job for Jewish News of Northern California. They do good work. Definitely used them as a resource before. So congrats to that. And I should say as well, I on the basis of this, I was going into Domantas's Wikipedia page, and it said on his Wikipedia page after the article came out that he had converted to Judaism, and I made my first ever Wikipedia edit to say that he was in the process of converting to Judaism, because that is what the article said. And as far as I know, I believe that correction is still up on Wikipedia, which is nice, because as we always say, like, Wikipedia is usually the first thing we go to, and it turns out it's just like some morons like us who are updating it and saying, hey, Fred Van Vliet is Jewish. And it's like, well, no, it turns out he's not. But it's just some guy, So just some guy goes up there and says someone's Jewish. That makes him Jewish. I have to
say, the story you're telling is incredibly Jewish. First of all, that you wanted to be pedantic enough about the process of his conversion, back to the point where, we don't make it too easy for everybody. 1, and 2, you want to brag about the time that you've publicly corrected somebody on the internet, which I wish you. I have nothing but nachas for such a accomplishment, and would like our audience is thrilled to hear about it. I'm sure. I let me guess. Did your wife not want to hear this story?
She was not impressed by this. I would say that's why I have this podcast. That's why we have a podcast and an audience for this. Hopefully, to tell stories that otherwise would not impress our wives, but might.
Yeah. Do you think
might impress our listeners?
That could be the secret title of pretty much every podcast hosted by a man, of things my partner does not want to listen to. A couple of other things we want to get to, but before we do, Jamie, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
Do you gamble?
I do.
What do you gamble with? Do you gamble with other people's lives? Do you gamble with, your own life? Do you gamble with money? Do you gamble with love?
Mostly money. Just a few loose shekels in case my wife is listening to this. Never any sum that would put our mortgage payments in jeopardy.
When you gamble with money, how do you, we're Jewish people as a whole, I think, are optimizers. We don't necessarily want to be anything too much, anything too one way, anything too or the other. There's a Howie Mandel joke. It's a visual joke where somebody says to a Jew, "How are you doing?" And he winces and throws up his hands and goes, "I'm fantastic," which is sort of really right down the middle, the way we like to be as a people. So how does that approach into your gambling, Jamie? Tell me about it.
Well, I would say that I generally like to get the best deal. There's all kinds of different apps out there. We're in Ontario, and there's lots of different gambling apps available, but it's always hard to know what the best deal is going to be. I mean, we are, not to be too stereotypical, but it is nice to get the best deal. Sometimes the odds are a little different from one app to another.
What if I told you there was a product, a website, where you could put in the sort of gambling you wanted to make, not for love, not with others' lives, but for money specifically.
Sure.
And it would tell you which of the available options gave you the best deal, the optimal deal. Do you think such a product exists?
I don't know. Does it?
It does, and it's called BetStamp. Jamie, do you want to tell us about BetStamp?
Sure. So BetStamp is a product that we've been using and that we've been talking with and helping support our podcast. It's very similar to something like Google Flights or Expedia, where you're looking for the best price among different services. It will give you the best odds on a specific bet that you want to make and track your bets as well. So it allows you to optimize your gambling and get the best deal, which, again, not to be too stereotypical, I think our listeners might be interested in.
Whoa. Let's watch out here. Let's watch out where we're going here.
Take a look at BetStamp. We'll have links, I think, available in our show notes. Betstamp.app and available in the Apple iOS store and Google Play. And check it out. If you're into sports gambling, it really is a useful tool just to see what the best odds are, track your bets, fun to play around with, and we recommend you guys check it out.
So if you're of legal age to gamble and you're interested in BetStamp, make sure to support our podcast by entering the promo code Menschwarmers when you sign up. That's the name of this podcast. You can find it in your app. Let's take a little 5-minute schluff, and then we'll come back.
Well, it is April right now, which means that it is the start of the NHL playoffs, which will continue for the next 2.5 months, basically, right? It really goes on forever now.
It is quite a grind, but I think that's sort of the point. It is like an endurance test for who claim to be the toughest guys in sports.
Yeah, it's true. I think that, I don't know if you're a guy who's a starter, if you're playing, a starter's amount of time, in a hockey game, that could be 10, 15 minutes of ice time, something like that.
I think 20 for forwards,
20 for forwards,
30 for defensemen.
Okay. So is there anything harder than playing hockey? Especially because in the playoffs, you're playing pretty much every other day. And every sixth game goes to a triple overtime. No other sport has that exact thing. Cause a basketball game will go to overtime occasionally, but maybe double once a year. And hockey game, but hockey playoff games go to 6 overtimes, 4 overtimes. It happens all the time. Sometimes you have series that just feel like every game is 3 games in one. And it's so much work. It's quite a slog. It really is impressive to win the Stanley Cup is what I mean. Plus you got to wear that big beard, everyone's looking like Hasidic Jews by the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's interesting you bring up what they look like, because there's it's sort of been a banner year for Jews in the NHL, in addition to a number of them that are still playing in the playoffs. We were so excited about Sabonis, converting Judaism in the NBA. We've got, a good number of Jews in the NHL playoffs, starting with, and favored to go a long way, the emergence of the Hughes brothers. We've talked about Jack Hughes a bunch on this podcast, one of the top 10 players in the NHL this season. But coming in with a goal and an assist in his second game ever, a game-winning goal and an assist in his second game ever, the youngest Hughes brother, Lucas.
Right, so he just got called up to the big team. He didn't play in their first playoff game, I don't believe. But I think he's on the roster. He's available.
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I think he was a healthy scratch.
Yeah, and so that New Jersey Devils, New York Rangers series is probably like the most Jewish playoff series we've had in a while. The two Hughes brothers on New Jersey. We should say that Jack scored the Devils' only goal in their opening game. And, of course, for the Rangers, Adam Fox, the standout defenseman. He had 4 assists for yesterday. He had 4 assists on 4 assists of the 5 goals Adam Fox was involved in. So, that's a huge contribution. I mean, if the Rangers are going to have a shot, I think everyone's sort of looking to the Bruins as being the team to beat in the East. But if the Rangers are going to have a shot of unseating them, it's really probably going to be on the back of Adam Fox's solid defense as much as anything else.
Absolutely. They rely on their goalie, Igor Shesterkin, a lot. And for a goalie to be good, the number one defenseman has to stay strong with him the whole time. And I think one expects very much Fox and Shesterkin to be in there together putting together a huge deal. There's also a number of others. We just lost notable Jewish players, Jason Zucker and Mark Friedman, who are the Pittsburgh Penguins, when they didn't make it.
Right.
But over on the West,
they just missed by a point qualifying.
Just missed by a point. We've got friend of the pod, Zach Hyman in Edmonton. They lost their first game, but they're going on tonight.
Yeah, they're playing the LA Melechs, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hyman having the best season of his career, playing with Connor McDavid, one of the best players in the world. He was almost a point a game this year. Now he's hopefully, he was sort of a playoff hero for Edmonton last year, the start of what he could see this year. So here's hoping that he is once again, an extremely good and successful playoffs for Zach Hyman. But before we, finish hockey, there's another Jewish hockey story I want to talk about.
Sure.
And that's we talked about him last week a little bit when he made his NHL debut, but the legend of Devin Levy continues to grow.
Right.
This kid we talked about went to Hebrew Day School in Montreal and went to West Island College, sort of the expected Jewish high school for most of the West Island people, at least the ones I know. And something, showed a lot of personality, meditates between plays, because he's a big fan of Qui-Gon Jinn of Star Wars, played by Liam Neeson, not Jewish, but, I would say there's some Jewish mysticism in the whole Star Wars universe.
Sure.
So there's something, but he was recently called into action, Devin Levy, into an away game where he didn't have an away helmet. So he took a blank helmet and a couple of Sharpies and drew his own. He just drew his own stuff all over his helmet and
That's
played
great.
with it.
What did he draw on the helmet?
He drew an attempt at the Buffalo Sabres logo
Sure.
and 2 red crossed lightsabers, which actually looked pretty sick. He's a Star Wars fan, evidently, but he did a great job of drawing that. And I just want to call out Devin Levy for being a young Jewish athlete with a ton of personality. He's got all the talent in the world, and it seems like the character to show it off.
Before we go, I just wanted to shout out a recent story. It was Yom HaShoah just the other day. When you'll be listening to this, it was just a few days ago. And we want to shout out owner of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, who led a delegation of Holocaust survivors, other people as well, on a march of the living through Auschwitz-Birkenau. Kraft has been an advocate for the fight against anti-Semitism. He's, has this new foundation that's there to combat anti-Semitism. He brought along Meek Mill, who is...
Yeah, Meek Mill was there.
Philly sports adjacent rapper Meek Mill, who's been like a mainstay in like Philly sports for the last few years, and very involved with the Eagles owner, Jeffrey Lurie. Anyway, so great to see Robert Kraft do this. anti-Semitism
You know,
remains a constant in our lives and in sports. So
do you
good to
think,
see
I
him do
know the
this.
beef is over,
Yeah.
but do you think if it was still going on, this would possibly give Meek Mill a little more sympathy for Drake
Good question.
as a Jewish person?
I don't know that anyone who's had beef with Drake as a rapper has been like calling into question his Judaism or like talking about that at all. But I also think,
oh boy, the Jews have had it tough.
I don't know. I think the Pusha T song about him abandoning his son, which forced Drake to rekindle his relationship with his son. It seems like pretty much that was the end. That was the end of like beef and rap. It was just like, look, you did it. You made someone like, be a better dad. So
yeah, nobody has done more for that kid than Pusha T. Pusha T saved that kid's life. Like,
okay,
like just
maybe
turn
not. Let's
that,
go that far, but yeah, it's
made
pretty
that
amazing.
Kid's life.
Yeah, that was something. Anyways, just wanted to end on that note. Obviously Yom HaShoah is a time for remembrance for everyone. It's really nice to see a notable Jewish sports figure, an owner, really put their effort, their money, their time into this cause. And we'll continue to report on, or, talk about what's going on with that and that foundation. Specifically purposed to combat anti-Semitism. Anyways, until next time, as Gabe said, check out Batstamp, use the promo code Menschwarmers. You can find us on Twitter, as long as Twitter still exists, at Menschwarmers, with our pithy tweets about everything and anything. As always, we're brought to you by the Canadian Jewish News. You can find this podcast and all our podcasts on the Canadian Jewish News website, the CJN.ca. Follow us on Twitter and like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys.